Hello, Carla here at Crochet CJ for episode 15. I'm a mom and midwife, and I'm a born-again Christian, and I'm loving people enough to tell them that. Episode 15, wow. So we're going to jump right in with finished objects. Obviously, I'm wearing a finished object. I don't know that I can call it my own design, but I did just do it. I didn't use a pattern, anybody's pattern. It's simply the moss stitch. And then, of course, just a band with the moss stitch for the hat. I'm calling this my Kiss Me I'm Irish hat and cowl. There's really not a pattern to release. You just do the moss stitch, you know. So if anybody wants to know how I do it, I'll be happy to like type it up or whatever. But yeah, it's just the moss stitch. It is made with wild wool. This is some that I got from my lovely friend Mary in Ireland, and it is 100 grams, 120 meters. It's 78% acrylic, 17% polyamide, 5% wool, and the color, it just says numbers. It doesn't have a color specifically. To me, it's some really beautiful greens. I hope it's showing up. And I did the moss stitch because it reminded me of moss. How creative am I? Okay, yeah, I know. Not too creative. Anyway, that's that. I know I feel like I got a neck brace on or something. This hat, I didn't mean to make it quite so poofy on top, so I'm going to have to do something about that. I might like block this and make it a little bigger so it'll be more slouchy. I like slouchy hats. That's that. My other hat and cowl that I did, my Hermione hat and cowl set, I have all the instructions typed up. I got to get on to Ravelry and see if I can't get it submitted. If I can't, you're more than welcome to email me at joyousmidwifecj@gmail.com, and I will email you the Word document or a PDF. I mean, I can probably convert it to a PDF. I'm happy to send that out to anybody. It's a free pattern it's my pattern. It's a really simple stitch, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Anyway, so if you want a copy of that, let me know. I'm going to try this weekend to get it on Ravelry, but somebody told me that you have to go through a lot of steps, and we'll see if that tries my patience or not to put a free pattern on Ravelry. Anyway, kiss me, I'm Irish. I know it's not March yet, but this was such a pretty... I needed something for the car. We were just driving around places that were taking about 30 minutes to get there and back, and I was just like, I got to take this with me. So took it with me. At first I started off doing like the granny stitch cowl, but I just didn't like the way this yarn, it was making it too tight and you weren't able to see, I don't know, it doesn't really have much of a halo, but you just couldn't really see the prettiness of the yarn with that stitch. And so I was like, well, what could I do? And I went, oh, the moss stitch, it looks like moss. So there you go. That was easy to do. My next finished object, I don't have a whole lot, believe it or not. I feel like I should have more. I need to start writing these things down when I finish them, because sometimes I give stuff away that I've made and I don't take a picture or write it down, and then I'm totally oblivious that I did it anyway. Oh, I do know when I finished, and I don't know what I did with it. I made a shawl too. We'll just save that for next time. So my other finished object, I made two baby hats. It's the 20-minute baby hat. Melanie Ham has a YouTube video that shows you how to make this hat. It's really easy to make, and it really does take like 20 minutes. It's a quick little hat to make. So made one in lavender and one in baby pink, and they have matching bows. The bow is from Claire Wilson 123. It's just like a crochet bow for beginners, really easy to make, so that was nice. The yarn is Bernat Softy Chunky in baby pink and lavender. It is 100% acrylic. There's 108 yards and 100 grams. I can usually get 2 baby hats out of 1 skein of this. So a friend of mine asked me to make some baby hats for a lady she knows who's having a baby who doesn't have a whole lot of family, and she's really concerned that she might not have things for the baby. So she asked me to make some hats. I'm going to make another one too, but I'm going to make it out of Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. And I'm going to put a flower on it. And the flower pattern I got from Melanie Ham too. It's like a 6-petal flower that's really easy to make. She does some really great patterns that are easy too, and so does Claire at Bob Wilson. They're both awesome. So my only joy in progress is my Orlaith robe sweater, and it is from the Celtic Cable Crochet book by Bonnie Barker. Sorry, I do have the page marked, but I moved it so I could continue with my pattern. And it's going to look like this when it's done. And I'm using my Windy with Wool Aran yarn that Mary sent me. So you guys know I finished the whole back section. I finished the right front section. There's my cables. I think that's really blowing out stuff, but anyway, it's hard to see, I know, with that really light yarn, but that's the color yarn I wanted to make it out of. Now I finished the left front section. Yay! And I have this much of sleeve number 1 done. I'm getting ready. I'm started on the sleeve cap already. So here's the sleeve cap, and yes, that's my friend Mary has an Oklahoma stitch marker just like this. And that's going very nicely. I can't wait. I've got to finish that sleeve, do a second sleeve, quite obviously, put it together, and then do the trim on the front and put the buttons on. I did the sleeve cap once and I had to pull it back out because I ended up with a pointed sleeve cap instead of a rounded one. I don't know how I did that, other than I was working on it while we were doing our live chat yesterday with Brenda from My Pugaful Life and some of the other ladies. We were having a live Zoom chat, and I was working on it, and I was trying to read the pattern and chat and listen to them. And so when I got done, it was like, I have this point and I should not have a point. It should be rounded. So I think I did too many rows. This is a great pattern, but like so many things, you know, today's February 1st. This month will mark my year anniversary of crocheting. So, you know, I have learned in this last year to crochet from videos and then to read patterns, and sometimes the patterns don't make as much sense to me as they should, and it's simply my inexperience. It's nothing to do with her patterns. They're great patterns. Although there is on the sleeve, it's listed in the wrong order, the steps to make the rows. I just figured that one out, thank goodness. I figured out how to do that because I was getting really frustrated because I was like, why does it jump from row 5 to row 20? And it's because the steps between those rows were below, stuck in the middle of the pattern. That was an editing error that somebody made, you know, that has nothing to do with Bonnie's pattern. That's the editing error. Anyway, acquisitions. So I subscribed to Happily Hooked, and I ordered one of their hard copy books. This is their November, December, and it's got lots of really cool patterns in it. I have not, I mean, I've glanced through it, but I haven't like sat down and looked through it to see what I want to make, but I know there's stuff in here I want to make. Anyway, Happily Hooked. I like their stuff. You know, and for subscribing online, I have went to the website like twice because I'm always crocheting or working or doing something, and I need to just sit down and take a little bit of time to go to the website at least once a week or so to see what's going on and see what they're offering, because they did a bunch of Tunisian stuff and I missed all of that, because I mean, I know I can go back and look at the videos or whatever, but I subscribe to things and then I don't, you know, especially online stuff. I tend to not go and look at them, and I should. That's kind of a waste of my money, isn't it? Anyway, my next acquisition, oh my goodness. Have you guys seen this at Michael's? Is that a ball of yarn, or is that a ball of yarn? This is the Loops and Thread Endless Impeccable. It is 100% acrylic. There's 800 grams, 1,790 yards, okay? It says it's enough to make this blanket. It's a number 4. It calls for an H hook, and the color is true gray. There's other colors. They don't have a big variety of colors, but I think it was Crystal at Bag a Day who had shown this. Somebody showed this when they had been out purchasing stuff at Michael's, and I was like, I have to go have one of those. I'm going to make a sweater with it. I'm not sure what sweater yet, but that's got to be enough to make a sweater, right? I could be wrong. Maybe I need a little more, but I could make the body of the sweater with this and do some trim with something else, right? I just thought that was incredible. I had to have it. They're $20, but I had a 50% off coupon, so I got it for $10. And that's Michael's brand, Loops and Thread. That's their yarn brand. So anyway, if you want a big ball of yarn, take your coupon. And actually, I couldn't get mine to come up on my phone, and the cashier was really sweet, and she got her app out on her phone, got it to come up, and scanned it and used it. Because I was like, yeah, I know there's a 50% coupon, but my app won't, because sometimes your cell phone service just isn't what it needs to be. Anyway, I got some Queens College Rustic Tweed. This I found at Tuesday Morning. And no, I don't have anything in mind for it. And I know I said I'm not on a yarn ban, but I'm planning to not buy yarn unless I have a purpose for it. But look at this. Look at this. Is that not the most beautiful purple? And I said I have a hard time when I go to Tuesday Morning resisting yarn, and that's pretty much what I go to Tuesday Morning for, is to look at their yarn and see what they've gotten in and things like that. And we happened to be in Tulsa doing something else, and my husband's like, oh, you want to go to Tuesday Morning and look at yarn? What was I going to say? No, no, don't want to look at yarn. I mean, I have a sweatshirt that says Yarnivore. I like yarn. Anyway, this is really pretty. It's Queens College Rustic Tweed. It's 100 grams. There's 318 yards in each one of these hanks. It's a number 3. It's 65% wool, 25% alpaca, 7% acrylic, 3% viscose. It calls for a size 7 hook, which I know is that funky one in the middle that doesn't have a number. But I have one, so we're good. And the color, it just says 1, 2, 3. But it's just the coolest stuff. It's got these little tweed things in it. That's not fuzz or anything, guys. That's like little... I just thought it was beautiful. And there was only 2, but that's, you know, about 640 yards. Surely out of 640 yards, I can get, I don't know, a hat and a scarf, a shawlette, something, you know. I know it's a number 3, but it's still a nice size little yarn. Anyway, I thought it was gorgeous. My last acquisition is yarn too. So Premier has been having all these flash sales, and a lot of times they're having like 5 skeins of yarn for $10, which makes them $2 a piece. And again, I'm not on a yarn ban. I'm just not buying yarn without a purpose, except for that I got it Tuesday morning. So they had their, it's called Premier Chamonix. I don't know. I'm saying Chamonix, but I don't know how they pronounce it, and I don't really care. I am not the pronunciation police. I do not need to pronounce everything correctly. I am well read. I can usually pronounce things right, but this word I've never seen, even after 3 years of high school French. I don't know if that's a French word or if that's just something they made up. Anyway, that was a rabbit I chased, wasn't it? So I got several different skeins of this for sweaters. So this is 85 grams, 380 yards. It's a number 2, which is going to mean a long time making a sweater, but it's just perfect because it's 80% acrylic, 10% mohair, 10% polyamide. It calls for a D hook. Oh, that's a tiny hook. Anyway, so this is alabaster, and then this one is lettuce. And yes, that's a really cool, like, it's a darker green than it's showing up anyway. And then this is just like a cream color. These I'm going to make an SJ sweater with. I got that pattern, and so this is the body of the sweater, the lettuce, and then the alabaster's the contrast at the top that kind of looks like Fair Isle. And then I'm going to make another SJ sweater out of plum and faded lilac. So it's a dark purple. That's going to be the body. The faded lilac's going to be the contrast. And then my other sweater I'm going to make is my Anvard sweater. I have no idea what I did with my pattern book. I had it right here. What did I do with it? Oh, it fell in this box. From Everyday Wearables from the Crochet Project, this Anvard sweater, I'm going to make it. And so this redwood is going to be the body of the sweater. And then this is Tide Pool. It's really more of a tealy green than it's showing up. And then this one is Heirloom Rose. So those are going to be my 2 contrast colors. So here's the body of my sweater. There's the 2 contrast colors. I don't know if I like that rose with the redwood. But I ordered them online, so I couldn't really, I just kind of had to guess. But to me, that kind of looks like a rosy color. I was trying to match it because I really like these colors, and I was trying to match it as close as I could. I think it'll work out fine because it's just like looks like little puff stitches, granny stitches or something in there. So I think it'll be okay. There's lots more, obviously, of the body of the sweater, skeins of yarn. There's lots more of that. But frankly, I think I ordered 6 of each for the bodies of the sweaters is what I had to have. And so total I got 18, 19, 20... 22 skeins of yarn, and so they were $2 a piece, which isn't bad. And if you order over $60 worth, you get free shipping, which is why I ordered enough for 2 of the SJ sweaters, because I didn't need that much more to go over 60. That doesn't sound right. I must have got more than 22 skeins. Because 22 and times 2 would be 44, right? Okay, so I got way more than that, but anyway. And if we order over $50 worth, you get either a free crochet hook or a free set of knitting needles. Well, I elected to get knitting needles because I want to get back into knitting. These are really pretty. It's colored wood, and it's the Premier brand. It's their deluxe knitting needles. These are size 8, 5 millimeter. I thought size 8 was a pretty common size. And the reason I got these instead of a crochet hook, number 1, I have lots of crochet hooks. I have the ones I like, and I want to buy crochet hooks that I'm not going to use. I guess I could use them for decoration. Anyway, I want to get back into knitting, and somebody told me that wooden hooks are easier for starting out than metal ones because the yarn doesn't slide off of them as easily. So I thought, they're sending it because I ordered this much yarn anyway. Just get it. So that's what I got. And that's it for FOs and GIPs, and you know, heard a little bit about my project queue along with my acquisitions. That's it for all that stuff. I want to talk about my tea. This is some chocolate mint tea. This is from my friend Mary Grace. She sent me some loose teas. My little loose tea ball that I have is metal, and it's really cool. It's a little mesh one, and the little, when I put it through the dishwasher, I guess the little thing fell off that holds it outside the cup, so it's all done in my cup. And it's so good, Mary Grace. Thank you so much. And when I went to get my tea out last week, even though I've been into that package and gotten tea out and looked at it, there was a little stitch marker in there. Did I mention that when I showed off my teas that last episode? I don't think I did. But there was this beautiful little stitch marker in it, and I had it on my Orlaith robe sweater, and when I finished that one section, I think I took it off. And so it's in my little bag now where I keep all of my stitch markers and my hooks that my bag that has everything in it, that has my yarny life in it. If it's not yarn, it's in that bag because it's got all my hooks and my needles. And anyway, speaking of needles, I feel like the Halloween candy scare, where there are razor blades in the candy. A friend of mine gave me some some yarn that I think she had acquired from a family member who just didn't use it or whatever, and she decided it would be nice to give it to me, which was very nice, and so she gives it to me. So I pulled out one of the skeins because I was making a rainbow sweater a scarf for one of my friends who wanted a scarf with lots of color in it. And so one of the skeins was some Red Heart yellow. It was like this vintage skein. And I'm working away with this, and I reach down to pick up that yarn, and a needle pokes out. Not a yarn needle with a dull end, a needle with a really sharp end. So just be careful when people give you stuff. I'm sure she wasn't aware that needle was stuck down in that skein of yarn, but am I going to have to x-ray my yarn before I use it? I don't know. Anyway, just be careful. Hey, I work in the medical field. Needle sticks are a bad thing. I don't care if it is, a sewing needle. And it wasn't a sewing needle. It was a big fat needle, but the end of it was uber sharp. So anyway, this is my Maxine cup. It says, "It's my body. I'll have pie if I want to." This is actually very appropriate for February 1st. This was in a little Valentine's kit that I bought myself. Oh, that's not sad. I bought it for the cup. I didn't buy it for the candy or whatever it was, and I bought it because I wanted the Maxine cup that said, "It's my body. I'll eat pie if I want to." Oh my goodness, that warm tea is so good. My throat's not sore, but in the morning I'm just like froggy. I know. 300 subscriber giveaway. I really wasn't teasing you guys. I was saving it for the end. I've got it all. The random condiment picker is up on my laptop. I'm ready to go. Let me remind you guys what's in that giveaway. There are 2 balls of this Allure yarn, which has got a really nice little halo to it. But don't frog it, because it doesn't frog well. Well, you can frog it, but you might not be happy when you do that. There's a skein each of this ice cotton yarn. There's a pink, and it's cotton light. There's a pink and a blue. There are 2 cakes, or whatever you want to call, of this Lion brand fettuccine. Doesn't have a colorway, but there's 2 exactly the same. There are, oh, sorry. Noisy, noisy, noisy. There are 4 skeins of this ice, which is 50% wool, 50% acrylic. It's a brown. I don't know, it's kind of looking kind of greenish, but it's a really dark brown. Anyway, there's 4 skeins of that. And then the last one is a cake of the sugar cake from Fezza. This is the exact same yarn that I used to make my Hermione hat and cowl. I'm going to be sending a paper copy of my pattern to the winner too, along with this. And then there are some beautiful, because this was such a beachy bunch of blues, there's some cute little beachy stitch markers too. So anyway, I will also probably throw in some tea. Who knows, but if I throw something else in, I'll tell you about it next episode. It's been a weird 2 weeks. I won't say it's been bad, because the majority of it, or a weird week, I mean, the majority of this week has been wonderful. You know, I work with some really wonderful people. So I enjoy going to work and working with them and doing the job that I do. I love it. It's the best job ever. I will never regret becoming a midwife. And, you know, I've gotten to crochet, so, you know, that hat or whatever you can buy that says the worst day fishing is better than the best day at work. Well, the worst day crocheting is better than any day. I love crocheting. But I just, you know, there's just people out there who can't find any joy in their own lives, and it just spills over into every aspect of their life. And so their goal is to steal your joy by being rude and disrespectful or just irrational. And I mean, I'm not going to point out particularly who in the medical field can be irrational and rude, but if you've worked in the medical field, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And I just don't get it. Why do you antagonize the people that you're supposed to be collaborating with, working with, to care for patients? Because that's the most important thing in my work, is patient care. My patients are number one. They come before anything, before my own discomfort, before my own, you know, private issues or whatever. You know, when I walk through that door to care for people, that's why I'm there. You know, and I am like the most conservative, not politically, I don't want any political comments. I'm not talking politics. I am the most conservative provider you'd ever meet. If I feel like something needs to be done with someone, or I need to talk to somebody who's, you know, gone to college more, a doctor or whatever, if I feel like I need to talk to them about this patient or have them consult, I'm doing that. Because I don't want anything bad to ever happen to anybody, because obviously having a baby is the best thing that should ever happen to you in a hospital, right? You know, I don't have any doubt about that. And it's really frustrating when you work with people who don't seem to do that, who don't seem to care about that. And I don't know. I just don't know how to process that in my brain. And I guess that's my little rant for the week. But it has made just a little bit of my week, you know, not easy to find joy in, you know. And at one point I said to one of the nurses, deep down in my little Christian heart, there's a little part of me that's fighting to not wish that someone would be irrationally rude to this person because they were so hateful and rude to me. But I don't wish that on them. I wish them joy. I want them to have a great life. I want them to have, you know, joy. I want them to know Jesus. Maybe they just need to find Jesus. You know, I just want that for them. And, you know, anyway, I've rambled on about that enough. You guys want to know who won this, right? So there were, I think it said 48 unique comments, so you got a pretty good chance of winning. So let's see if I can get this right here. And I can click, oh, there's terrible glare on that screen, isn't there? That might be a little better. Anyway, it's picking a name, it's picking a name, it's picking a name. Coddington. Connie Coddington. I didn't even see the first name. I was like, Coddington. It's someone's last name. I think it's awesome that you were doing what you were doing. I have been watching you since your first podcast, and I love seeing everything you have made. So, Connie Coddington, you need to see if I can get that name back up there without the glare. You need to send me an email at joyousmidwifecj@gmail.com with your address so I can get this mailed to you wherever you are. And yes, I do open my giveaways to anywhere that can receive a package from the U.S. Because yes, I have mailed things to other countries, and I know it can be very costly, but everybody needs to enjoy some yarn, right? Anyway, you guys have a wonderful week. Find some joy. Find some joy in your life and spread that joy to other people. That's what we need to do. Spread it to other people. Bye-bye.